takes flight, burning bright through endless night. Helm eternal, strong and true, built to last, just like you. Blows like lightning, stands alone, every tick bad to the bone. You don't need riches, just the will to wear the watch that time can't kill. A legend forged for those who roam, each one made to feel like home. From boardroom lights to deep blue seas, it shines with quiet mastery. Collectible status and built to fight, a hero's watch that owns the night. Helm eternal, bold and true, every second belongs to you. Bright as fire, cold as chrome, Helm watches your time, your throne. Born in the storm, made for the brave. Helm gives the time the oceans crave. Steel and soul in perfect form, a watch that laughs at every storm. When the night falls, the loom takes flight, burning bright through endless night. Helm eternal, strong and true, built to last, just like you. Blows like lightning, stands alone, every tick bad to the bone.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Spotlight Watch Review. My name is Jim, and I am beyond excited to be here with you today for this special unboxing. Now, as you guys know, I don't really like to do just straight up unboxings because I feel that you need at least a couple of weeks with something, getting to know it, spending time with it, using it, before you can tell others if it's worthy of their money or not. So what I'm going to be doing here is one video. It's going to be stretched out over a few weeks worth of time, because what I want to do is I want to do the unboxing because I feel that the unboxing experience of this particular watch is going to be special, and it is fun and it is cool. So I want to share that with you, and I want to share with you the exact moment that I get to see this watch in person for the very first time. And then what I'm going to do is take a break off camera, spend a couple of weeks with it, wear it around, enjoy it, get past the honeymoon period where it's no longer the newest, coolest thing that I've got, so that I can objectively tell you about the watch, about its performance, and about its pros and cons. Like I tell you, man, it has been a hell of a year. A lot has happened in my life, in our country, in the world, and hell, even up in the stars. Don't get me started on 3i Atlas, man. That shit's just getting weirder and weirder. But it's also been about a year since I put myself down on the wait list for the Helm watch's Khuraburi Titanium. So long ago that I forgot which bezel I even had on it. I thought what I had on it at the time that I ordered it was an all-white bezel. Then when I got to the ordering process, I saw that it was a black and white bezel. Okay, fine, no big deal. Now, this isn't the first time I've waited on a Helm, and I'll tell you this much, Helm is the only brand that I will do this with, because the payoff in the end with the delivered product is so well worth it. My first experience was with this bad boy right here. I absolutely love my Vanuatu. The Vanuatu to me should be a $600 or $700 watch. Instead, it's under $400. I think they were $350 in steel. And I'll tell you more of that story a little bit later, but what I want to do is start unboxing this, because Honestly, I'm tired of waiting, and I want to see it as well. Now, I have never seen a Khuraburi live and in person. One of the main reasons I wanted this watch was for this bracelet, because this thing is utterly nuts. And you also get additional spring bars in there. And there it is. I gotta tell you, man, that is a good looking watch. Let's see how this feels and how it sounds. Very, very notchy. Like you can't miss that. That's going to be a very exact bezel. There's no rollback whatsoever. Man, that's a good looking watch. Very high quality nylon straps, very, very thick. Now that we've got this out, let me kind of get back to story time here. And then we'll get back to the actual review. And I'm going to give you timestamps here so that you can keep up, so that you're not having to sit through areas that you don't want to sit through. The first time around with Helm is when I got my cherished Vanuatu. I was on the list, but I got impatient that time and I grabbed one off of eBay for a small upcharge. That was after years of looking at it online and hemming and hawing and going, am I going to actually order one of these or not? I would sign up on the list, and then 2 times when I got the response email saying, okay, your order is about to come up, pay attention. 2 of those times I just was not ready to be buying a watch at the time, so I wasn't able to fulfill the order. So this time I went, hell, I'm going to buy it. I went onto eBay and I found one and I found a good deal. I was super happy with it. And I have loved this watch so much. It's actually one of my most worn watches, period. Love this thing. And it's the perfect size. So naturally, when I wanted a new diver that was just a little more overboard, I came back for the Wilder Khuraburi. In my opinion, it's not as serious as the Vanuatu. When you look at them side by side, the Vanuatu is much more of a serious gear watch, a serious tool watch. Whereas the Khuraburi is, I don't know, it's a little bit more playful in its design and in the color options that they offer for it. The one that I really wanted was the orange and blue, or I should say blue with orange, but that's only in steel. And after owning this for as long as I have, I kind of went, you know what? I kind of want another titanium watch. I want that lighter weight. So I went ahead and signed up for the titanium in the Khuraburi instead of, okay, sorry about that. So I went for the titanium instead of the steel, so I'd have that additional degree of comfort. Are you new to Helm? If so, pay attention here, and we're going to discuss the brand, the brand's founder, and a little bit of the process about how you purchase their watches because, yeah, it is a different thing than buying any other watch. If you're already familiar with the brand or you don't care about any of that stuff, skip to this point here on the screen to resume the review, and you won't have to worry about it. Helm Watches is an American micro brand specializing in affordable, high quality dive and field watches inspired by adventure and maritime heritage. The brand emphasizes durability, precision, and value, targeting enthusiasts who seek rugged timepieces without paying an astronomical premium price. The watches are designed for real world use, such as diving, hiking, even everyday wear, often featuring elements like sapphire crystals, solid, reliable movements, and very robust, tough cases. Helm operates on a direct to consumer model like a lot of micro brands do, with very limited production runs, leading to frequent wait lists. Now, the demand is super high, and Matt Cross's commitment to quality over quantity slows down that process a little bit more. The brand has garnered positive reviews for its incredible build quality, cool aesthetics, and often compared favorably to much higher end competitors. Now, Helm was established in 2014. Helm Watches is owned and operated by the Helm Group Limited, an American company, and that's important to realize, with roots in North Carolina. Now, they are made in the Far East. These are manufactured in China, but it is an American company. So I think it's important to point that out for those people that just have a real thing about Chinese made products. You are supporting an American, you are supporting an American's family with his business when you're purchasing these. Helm focuses on watches that last. They like to blend vintage inspired designs with modern specs, and they avoid mass production to maintain high standards, resulting in what I feel are some of the highest tool grade instruments that you can buy for anywhere near their prices. Helm has built a cult following within microbrand communities. Now, Matt Cross, who is the founder, owner, and driving creative force behind Helm Watches, is a passionate watch collector and diver. And that's why you're seeing these made the way that they're made. So, yes, they're cool watches that collectors are going to love, but they have a driving force behind them, which is to be used as a tool. These are serious dive watches for people that may actually go out and go diving. And yes, I realize very serious divers are wearing dive computers on their wrists, and they're not really relying on their watch like they did 30, 40, 50 years ago, but they're built to those standards. They're built to that level of quality. Before Helm, Cross spent 15 years in product development and sourcing within the bicycle industry, honing skills in quality control and supply chain management. Seeking a pivot, he channeled his love for horology into watchmaking. Based in North Carolina, he oversees design, production, and operations for the Helm Group Limited, where he also serves as a retail expert in fine jewelry and watches. His professional expertise includes trend analysis, visual merchandising, and the apparel fashion sector. This is a guy that had a vision. He says, you know what? I'm a diver. I'm an adventurous person. I love watches, and I don't see enough out there available at a price range that's easily affordable that actually gives good quality and the performance that I'm looking for. So if the market isn't giving it to you, you're going to make it yourself. That's exactly what he did. Now, I already discussed the wait list. The wait list is long primarily due to the brand's limited production and high demand. Both of those adding up together to be, hey, you're going to wait a while. You're going to wait anywhere from a year to 4 years, I believe was the maximum that they ever got to. Now, I want to put this on the wrist. I've already taken my Vanuatu off. I want to see how it feels. That feels great. By the way, thank you to Matt for remembering that Americans have big wrists. So, number one, the size of this watch is appropriate for my size wrist, but the length of the strap is a huge deal. I have more watches than I care to count, where I'm on next to the last hole on the strap. And especially when it comes to my Zulu straps and NATO straps, I don't generally have enough room at the tail of the strap to properly tuck it like you're supposed to. This looks fantastic. Very legible dial, huge indices, big broadsword style hands. Everything about this is big, beefy, chunky. And honestly, it's kind of what makes it so much fun. I dig this. And by the way, this watch on this strap weighs almost nothing. I almost can't tell I'm wearing a watch at all because of how lightweight the titanium case is. That is fantastic. Okay, so here's how the process works. You go to the Helm Watches website, which is helmwatches.com, and you pick out which model you want, whether that's going to be the Khuraburi here, or it's going to be the Komodo, which is a smaller watch, unfortunately. It's a 40 millimeter, so I will never own one of those because I can't wear something that tiny. The Vanuatu, and I think there's one more. Yeah, it's more of a casual field watch. I forgot the name of it. I apologize. So you go to the website, you pick out the watch that you want, but you don't get to buy it that day. What you do is you put yourself on the wait list. Now, once you're on the wait list, you just sit back and you do exactly that. You wait. And then one day an email is going to come through that's going to tell you, hey, your order is about to come up. You're coming up in the queue. Super. Now, this is after you going back to the website at least a dozen times during the wait period, and you get to key in your order number on the website to see where your place is in the queue, and that gives you a general idea of about how much longer you have to wait. So now you got the email saying, hey, you're about to come up in the queue, you're going to get another email. So then you get that email, then it says, it's time to order your new Helm watch. You click the link, it gives you a security code to get into that section of the website to purchase, and then you pick out whatever it is that you want. Now, I seem to recall at one point, the Khuraburi was set up as a standard or a destro, meaning you either had the crown on the right-hand side of the case or on the left-hand side of the case. And because of the way this movement is fitted, it's either at the 4 o'clock or the 10 o'clock. When I went to order this, I didn't have that option. I had an option of black dial or white dial, date or no date. And while I typically don't ever buy watches without a date, on this one, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted just that clean look of that white dial and nothing else obstructing it. I just wanted to leave it just the way it was. So you place your order, you pick out which case you want, which color dial you want, and then you select the secondary strap that you want, because you're always going to get a bracelet included in the price, as well as one nylon strap. So you get to pick that color. And then you have the option, should you decide you want to spend more money, you do what I did. You option out additional bezels, additional bracelets, additional straps, all that kind of good stuff. And when you order accessories while you're ordering the watch, you save a small amount of money on the accessory. I think it's like 10%. And shout out to Matt. This is how diligent he is with his orders. I had placed my order for my watch. And then I believe I had also ordered this strap. Then I went back after the fact and I added the other stuff. He sent me an email saying, hey, by the way, I noticed that you ordered additional accessories. You didn't select the additional discount for ordering with a watch. So I went ahead and did that for you. So I'm refunding you the few dollars there so that you get the discount as if you purchased these in the same transaction as the watch. Because that's what I thought. I'm thinking, okay, it's not in the same exact transaction, even though I just ordered the watch, so I should probably pay the full price. He was super cool, caught that, and made sure that everything was taken care of. And this is not, Jim Skelton, the watch reviewer, Jim Skelton, the watch guy. This is just a regular customer that just ordered a watch. That's it. He didn't know about me, didn't know what I do, didn't know about the videos and reviews and all that. That's how he treats his customers. And that's such a great thing. I love good customer service. Now let's get back to this model-specific review and talk about the things that we like, we may not like, and the specs on this gorgeous, gorgeous watch. What you're getting into here is a 42 millimeter solid titanium case with a 43 millimeter bezel. So you've got a little tiny bit of overhang. So that allows the watch to look just a tiny bit larger on your wrist while still wearing rather small. Because yes, to me, 42 millimeters is small. Now I want to play with this for a second. If you guys will bear with me while I do so, I kind of want to see the different personalities that exist when you change out a few of the basic accessories. So we'll start here with a bezel swap. Actually, I'm not going to swap anything. What I'm going to do, just kind of lay this down. Yeah, see that right there? That's the look that I wanted. The all white, white bezel, white dial, super clean looking. I really, really like that. You ready for this one? I bought this bezel only for the times that I decide to wear this on the blue nylon. So now I've got blue and white. Yeah. Oh, I like that a lot. That's also going to look really good when I put it with the white strap. That is super sexy. Just a little pop of color against the white. Super cool. Really dig that. Not too bad with the black and white. Not too bad at all. And here, all white, all white, all white. But of course, it will most likely be worn at almost all times on the titanium bracelet because there's just something about the way these bracelets look, because he's chosen the right style of bracelet, the right thicknesses, these massively thick bracelets to perfectly accent the watches so that if you're not a strap swapping kind of person, you've always got the perfect look with just how the watch comes. So as I ordered it, is this look, and then I bought these, and the white strap and the black nylon strap, and pieced it all together. Now inside is going to be the SII NH38 movement, because again, I chose the no date. I think it's going to be a workhorse that's going to last forever. One of the reasons that that his watches fit so well is because he is doing a nice curve at the lugs. And this is only 49 millimeters from lug end to lug end. And by the way, it's 22 millimeters in the width of the lugs. So you've got a watch that'll rest on your wrist comfortably. It's not dominating your wrist. It's not overpowering. You don't need a big, giant, fat wrist in order to carry off this look. It's meant to look like a big, chunky diver anyway. So if it looks a little bit oversized on you, that's okay because it's supposed to. Now I think it's time to get into the loom and see how that performs. I'm actually kind of excited to see that myself. And we'll even put it up against the Vanuatu as well. And let's see what happens. Oh yeah, man, I could not be happier. Yikes. The indices are glowing so brightly that the radiant, or ambient, I should say, the ambient light from them almost makes the dial appear as if it were glowing. It's not, it's just a white dial. And I've got a little bit of light coming into the room here. So if we completely block everything out, you see that the loom is just spectacular. Now, that is precisely what I expect from a Helm watch, and that's why, part of why, I'm buying a Helm watch. One of the things that makes life easy with Matt's designs are the fact that he does drilled lugs like you're supposed to. If you're going to offer a watch that is intended for interchangeability, because he's giving away a strap with every purchase, so it's intended for that, then you need to make it as easy as possible, especially when you're talking about titanium, because titanium scratches very, very, very easily. So to be able to access the spring bars from the outside of the lugs makes life a lot easier. It makes for faster and more convenient changes, especially when you're dealing with the bracelet, dealing with these end links. By the way, look how massive that end link is. Nice machining on there as well. Very high quality. Really, really nicely done. I'm not sure why the end links are separated from the bracelet as you purchase it, but they are. So when you unwrap the plastic off of your bracelet, be careful when you do so because he's wrapped the end with a separate piece of plastic to prevent the spring bars from falling out and bouncing around on your floor and getting lost. So keep that in mind that you do have a separate end link for some reason as it's packaged. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to size the bracelet. I'm going to start wearing this watch and let's see how that looks. Oh yeah. Don't you love when you get something and you get that instant gratification because it's every bit as good as you thought it was going to be? When I sized this and put this on with the bracelet, it completely won me over. Absolutely. If there would have even been the slightest doubt in my mind if I was keeping it, that would have changed it right there. Love it. Let me put this back on now. Look at that. It's just perfect. Now, I took 2 links out from the original size that the bracelet was, and it's an absolutely perfect fit for me. Couldn't be happier. Feels great. Just loose enough to not be, feel like it's squeezing the hell out of you, but it's not flopping around either. That is just awesome. I could not be happier with my purchase. Absolutely love it. feels great, looks great, and it's so lightweight. As a matter of fact, let me grab my scale and see what the weight difference is with the links removed and compare it to my solid steel Vanuatu. Okay, so the Vanuatu sized for my wrist in steel is 7.5 ounces. The Khuraburi Titanium sized for my wrist is 5.1. That is significant. I'm going to tell you right now, it feels more significant than even the numbers portray. It's a wild difference as I sit here holding them both. If I had to list one con, it would be the fact that the clasp being made of all titanium and not using a dual pusher system uses the friction system alone. It's very, very, very tight on the clasp. So that could be a little bit of a pain in the butt you might not totally appreciate. However, that's it. That's my one small little niggle on this entire watch. Now, I'll give it one more, and I think I said this about the Vanuatu as well. I'm surprised that there isn't a diver's wetsuit extension, manual or sliding or otherwise. Now, while I don't want a manual style wetsuit extension, I would prefer to have some sort of glide lock or something like that. That's something that I would beg Scott to redesign the clasp so that, number one, you have dual pushers instead of relying on a detent, because the detent on titanium is very, very strong. Now, the detent on my Vanuatu is pretty tight too, but it's not excessive. But it's really all in the clasp. If this had the dual pushers instead of being solely friction based, and if it had a sliding mechanism to allow us to do micro adjustments that way instead of breaking out a tool every time and having to take it off of our wrist, that would be phenomenal. And then that would, I think, take this watch and elevate it to a level that's so far beyond its retail price, it would be insane. Now, it's already punching well above its weight. This should be, and I say the same thing about the Vanuatu all the time. This feels like it should be a $600-700 watch. And I think if it had like a Miyota 9015 inside, that would be justified. I don't mind the movement that's inside at all because I'm not a total movement snob, because I don't wear the same one watch every single day. My watches sit. I have a large collection and I rotate through them. So if I choose not to have a watch live on one of my watch winders, then every time I go to wear it, I've got to wind it and I've got to set the time and date and everything anyway. So the ultimate true accuracy isn't that big of a deal to me. And I know that may sound like sacrilege to some of you, and that's fine. But when you have a lot of watches that you rotate through and you don't want to put all of them on winders, then you're going to have plenty of dead ones laying around that you have to revive before you put them on. So I'm totally fine with the movement that's inside. And I know that movement's going to last about 10 years before I ever need to service it, and probably last 50 years before it ever needs to be replaced, or maybe just serviced a second time. So I'm totally fine with that. But as far as talking about pricing, if you had a Miyota 9015 in here, or make the jump into Swiss, if that's something that you wanted to do, like a Sellita SW200, and charge $600 for this, it would absolutely be acceptable. People would get this in their hand and go, yep, totally get it. Totally understand it. That's why I wonder with some brands that come out and they'll make a watch that looks great like this, and they'll put all kinds of time into the design and do a lot of detail work. Then they throw a 3-hand quartz movement with a ticking second hand on it. And I'm like, why? Okay, maybe if you were shooting for an uber low price point, sure, but they're still charging $250, $300, $400 for that watch. And I'm like, why? Why would you make that choice? So I don't think Matt made a bad choice with the movement that's inside, not at all. But moving it up a little bit, if that's what justifies, let's say he does this extra work and he changes out the clasp, then he goes, with all of that, the price has to be raised. There may be customers that would be resistant to that. But if he goes, oh, by the way, there's also a 9015 inside, nobody could complain. So there's that to think about. But I don't need this to be changed. I really dig this. Now, a complaint that doesn't come from wearing it. It doesn't come from the design of it. I don't know how often I'm going to be swapping out straps, to be honest with you. This end link system is a pain in the ass. It's not something that I dealt with on my Vanuatu. My Vanuatu, you pop the spring bar out, the end link comes out, it stays attached to the bracelet, and everything's fine. Here, you're playing a delicate balancing game with your fingers. You're trying to keep the end link attached to the end of the bracelet, put the spring bar in just enough to kind of connect the two, get it up in between the lugs, and then compress both sides of the spring bar. And then you're still having to wedge one side. You get the spring bar slid up in there, and you're having to inch the spring bar up into place. It was a pain in the butt. I did not enjoy that. Aside from rolling my ankle and spraining my ankle yesterday, that was the second most unpleasant thing I've done this week. Not fun at all. But you know what is fun? Loom shots. So I say we do that one more time. There's something about bright BGW9 Super Luminova against a white dial. I find it so crisp and refreshing. It looks so good. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up putting on the all white bezel because I think that's the ultimate look that I want. I'm not a big fan of how the black breaks up so much of the look. I couldn't be more thrilled with that. I think that's great. So what is the overall verdict on the Khuraburi from someone that's owned and worn a Vanuatu for about a year now? Absolute winner. It looks chunkier, but it wears about the same. Making the jump from steel to titanium made it even easier. But now I tell you this, I might be spoiled with the titanium over time, but I'm still going to find a way to get my hands on a steel version that's the all blue with the orange accents because there's just something about that combination that speaks to me. And now that I know what an enormous pain in the butt it is to change and take off or put on this bracelet, and I know I won't be swapping out straps as often as I envisioned that I would, I might do that just to have that different look, just to have that blue look. Instead of doing this and doing this, that's not hard, but it's not fun either. I might just do that. So instead of changing out parts of a watch, I just change out the whole damn watch. Anyway, if you've been looking at the Khuraburi and wondering, is it worth the investment? I'd say yes. Specifically, if you're looking at the titanium, because the prices went up ever so slightly in the titanium. I'm into this, well, with all the accessories, I'm into it over 500. But the watch itself with shipping was, okay, I don't honestly remember off the top of my head, so I'm going to put it up here on the screen. So yeah, it's still a small investment, but I honestly feel like you'd be spending significantly more money with another brand that gives you 300 meters water resistant in an all titanium watch with a sapphire crystal, a high quality movement, BGW9 Super Luminova, sapphire bezel over the Super Luminova bezel insert. I think that the value of this speaks for itself. And it's one of the few watches that I can say it's worth the wait, it's worth the struggle to find one. And if you're able to, get the red carpet treatment. Order it from Helm. Don't buy it secondary market. Order it from Helm. Go through the ordering experience and get the cool goodies that come with it, and get the card that's written out to you by hand. I mean, that's a nice. It gives you a nice warm fuzzy feeling inside. It doesn't really add value, but to you as the consumer, as you receive it, it kind of does. It makes you feel good about the purchase that you've made. Helm Watches is not your run-of-the-mill, everyday micro brand. Even brands like Christopher Ward that are unbelievable quality, incredible finishing, they've gotten a little bit more expensive. So there are fewer people now that are getting the chance to experience those. Here, you've got a budget-oriented watch that doesn't feel budget-oriented in any way. Not from the design, not from the manufacturing, not from the finishing. It doesn't feel like a single corner was cut, yet it's affordable. And to me, that's really all I want. Give me a good high quality watch for a price I'm willing to pay, and I'm happy. By the way, it was irresistible. I had to change out that bezel. And now I've got the perfect look. Easy peasy. Okay, so here we are after the honeymoon period has worn off. Had a lot of opportunities to wear this. Worn it every single day in most every configuration I could think of. And this has become my favorite configuration. The blue and white bezel with the blue nylon strap. I think that this really helps kind of bring out a bit of character in this watch, because the color really absolutely does that. There is a lot to love about this watch, but I'm going to be honest with you right up front, right here, so you don't have to wait too much longer. You've already waited a very long time. This is a very lengthy video. I have a strong preference for the Vanuatu over the Khuraburi. And that doesn't mean the Khuraburi isn't a great watch. It really is. But somehow, it really does play a lot smaller on the wrist than the Vanuatu. And we're talking there's a very size difference between them in their measured sizes. But there's something about the Khuraburi that makes it feel significantly smaller. And I'm at the point now where I think I would much rather have a titanium Vanuatu than have the titanium Khuraburi. So I don't think this one's going to be a lifelong keeper for me. The bracelet was the very first thing. The bracelet's real nice, but it's not as thick and chunky as I remember it looking online when I ordered it. It just seemed like it was going to be substantially thicker and beefier than it really is. So as much as I wanted this watch to wear solely on the bracelet, and really only every now and then on the various straps that I got, I ended up taking the bracelet off right after I finished recording the first half of this video. And I tried the black and white bezel with the black nylon strap. Wasn't crazy about it. By the way, that black nylon strap is excessively long. You are going to have to trim it. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to cut off the end, and I would suggest rounding it like this, and then burning it with a lighter or a torch so that you don't get all kinds of fraying. So I wasn't crazy about the black and white bezel, so I ended up taking that off. Then I had the all-white bezel on there, and while typically when your bezel is the same color as your dial, it tends to make the watch look larger, it somehow made this watch look smaller, to the point where my wife looked at my wrist and went, "That's a really small watch on you." And she doesn't pay attention to half the watches I ever wear, but even she noticed that it looked a little bit off. I like the look of the white bezel against the white dial, but you need to realize that the white is not perfectly white because the bezels in the white areas are all BGW9. So it's slightly yellow tinged in the daylight. Meanwhile, your dial is pure white, so it's a little bit off in that way too. And that's something that you need to know before you place that order. If you're expecting like a Seiko White Knight, you're not getting that. This is going to be an off color when compared to the dial. Just keep that in mind. I still think it's handsome. I still think it's going to last forever. I mean, this is a serious, tough built watch, and the quality level that it's made at is flat out exceptional. I just don't think this is the particular choice for me. Just like I know that the Komodo won't be a good choice for me. I know that the Komodo is going to be a well built watch, made to fantastic quality and finish. But the Komodo's, what, 40 millimeters? So that's going to be far too small for me. And I know that off the get go. Now, there's one more thing I want to bring up very quickly. I'm going to grab the bracelet and bring it into the shot here and talk about this very briefly. I have a couple areas of disappointment that lie only in the bracelet. One is I thought it was going to be significantly thicker, and it may be just the way the pictures were taken, but it really looked like the center links sat up proud of the two outer links. So again, I was expecting it to be bigger and beefier. So that's the first thing. The next thing is that all of the edges are very, very rough. It's got hard edges up against your skin. And I don't understand why, because when I wear my Vanuatu, I have no such issues. There's no sharpness on either side, either where it's sitting against the skin or you may hit it on the outside of the bracelet. It's just very finely knocked off, that edge that's there. This can be eliminated with about 20 to 30 seconds on a Scotch Brite wheel. Now, I don't know how they have their shop set up, but I'm sure they have the availability to run a buffer with a Scotch Brite wheel to take the harsh edges off. Not only do you feel them, and they kind of, if the watch is a little bit loose on you, you can kind of feel it scraping your skin. The other thing is, because of the harsh edges, your arm hairs will get trapped in between the links, and they're going to snag every now and then. Again, I have to repeat, that is not an issue with the Vanuatu. It only exists here on these between these two watches. It only exists on the Khuraburi. And that bothers me a lot, to the point where I don't ever want to wear it on the bracelet. Even though I think that the overall look looks best on the bracelet, my backup look with the blue, white, and blue, I think is a handsome combination. I love Helm as a brand. I love my Vanuatu. My Vanuatu, I can see that as being a lifelong keeper, something that I don't ever get rid of unless, I'm chasing down some sort of grail. And I was hoping to have the same degree of love and admiration for this watch. And in some ways, visually, I like this watch more. I like the glossiness of the sapphire bezel ring with the lumen there. I just think it looks fantastic. I love the tone, the warmth of titanium, the look of titanium. And obviously, I like the feel of titanium. I like the fact that it's more of a fun watch than a serious tool watch. It's just a little bit more, I don't want to say flamboyant, because that's certainly not right. But it's got a lot more character and a lot more personality than the Vanuatu. So I really dig that. I like being able to do the blue and white together. I think it looks great. Would the steel version, because of the additional heft, change my mind about how it wears? I don't really know. I might try it just to see. Then I could also get the blue and orange that I really, really want so much. But I still think it's going to feel a bit too small on me. If you're someone that likes a 40 to 42 millimeter watch, you are going to love this. Do not be afraid of the specs. Don't be afraid of the numbers. If you know that you never look at a watch that's 43 millimeters because you think that's too big, have no fear. Do this. You will be perfectly happy, at least for certain in the titanium, because it really does wear that much smaller. Now, that's in part to two things. Number one, it's the bezel that's the largest part of the watch. Not only that, if you take a look at the sides of the case, this is not a straight-sided case. It tapers. It's rounded and it tapers, so the actual contact with your wrist is significantly smaller than the straight-sided Vanuatu. So the Vanuatu, you get the feeling of the full size of this watch. You do not get that benefit with the Khuraburi. And that, I think, really is the biggest difference. Neither one of these are monstrous in size. This just feels a little bit smaller. And that, honestly, is the kind of thing that you cannot know by reading a spec sheet, that you cannot know by going over the website. You have to put it on for yourself, or listen to a reviewer like me that will tell you flat out how this wears and how it's going to feel. If you're like me and you like them just a little bit on the larger side, and you're worried about it feeling small, now you know. If you're a smaller wristed guy that's worried that the specs read too large, you're not going to have an issue. So it's good for one group and not so great for the other group. And unfortunately, I fall into the group that doesn't benefit quite as much. And you know what? I'm okay with that in general. But every time I look at this watch, I love it. And I don't want to be without it. But every single day that I wear it, I go, man, this thing looks and feels really small on me. And it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. So I have that to contend with. It's like this little internal conflict that I have. And what's going to happen is I'm going to sell it and I'm going to immediately start missing it, because none of my other divers have quite this same personality. And I've got some really great divers that I love and enjoy. But this one does stand out to be unique. For me, this was really visually a nice combination between an Omega Seamaster and a Seiko Monster. It kind of had a little bit of charm from each. Maybe not any direct styling, but a little bit of charm from each that I found very appealing. So when it comes to designs, Matt is incredible with his design language, with how he puts all of that look together. And the quality build, the quality manufacture of this watch cannot be denied. That slightly domed sapphire crystal is gorgeous in the day. Even when it catches a little reflection, it's just flat out gorgeous. It's crystal clear, zero distortion, and just flat out gorgeous. The dial work is clean and legible. The hands are big and bold and beefy. And then, yeah, you go back to the loom, and this is an irresistible watch. Tell me you don't want that on your wrist. It just looks badass. Anyway, that's about all I've got to say about it. I want to thank all of you for sticking around for this extra long length video. I hope it was worth it for you, and I hope you got the answers to questions that you had in your brain about this watch. I hope I didn't discourage anyone from getting it because it is fantastic. But I hope that the people that weren't going to appreciate it now have those warnings. And I hope that the people that were hopeful that they would be able to get into this watch now know they can. Either way, I'll see you guys on the next video.